हमने लास्ट पार्ट वन में देखा है कि ये जो HTML का डिक्लेरेशन है वो कैसे डिफाइन किया है। उस तरह से हमें एक्सप्लेनेशन भी लिया और आउटपुट भी देख लिया था। ठीक है, अभी हम लोग थोड़ा डिस्कशन करते हैं कि जो हमारे HTML की एडिटर्स है कौन से हमें लगते हैं। जो अभी आप देख रहे हो ये वाला जो एडिटर है हमारा VS कोड का एडिटर है। तो आप स्टार्टिंग में अगर न्यू है तो आप नोटपैड भी यूज कर सकते हैं। उसके बाद अगर आपके पास नोटपैड प्लस प्लस है वो भी आप यूज कर सकते हैं। अगर आपके पास सिमलिम है वो भी आप यूज कर सकते हैं। या ये जो मैंने अभी इंस्टॉल किया है ये वाला है VS कोड, तो आप इसमें कीजिएगा तो जो आपका कोडिंग है वो बहुत अच्छे से प्रॉपर होगा, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो एक्सटेंशन से ऑटोमेटिक कोड आता है वो भी प्रॉपरली हो जाता है। ठीक है, सो नेक्स्ट HTML बेसिक एग्जांपल से हम लोगों ने स्टार्ट किया था अभी कि HTML डॉक्यूमेंट्स क्या होता है। तो HTML डॉक्यूमेंट्स must start with the document type declaration like less than exclamatory doc type HTML. Okay, and next the HTML document itself begin with HTML and HTML start tag and HTML end tag. Okay, you can check here. Here is the start tag and here is the end tag. So this is the begins with HTML codes, and the visible part of the HTML document is between body tag. Okay, you can see here on the page only body tags elements are visible in the page. Okay, so you can take care of all the body tag elements. Okay, so basically first upon there are six parts in heading tag. We can start with heading. Okay, so first upon we can write down. Okay, first upon we can write down here HTML heading. HTML heading. तो इसमें अभी देख सकते हो कि यहाँ पे टोटल 6 टाइप्स रहते हैं, तो हम लोग वन बाय वन डिफाइन करते हैं कि H1 डिफाइंस द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट हेडिंग and up to H6 define the least important heading. Okay, so H1 already done. This is the H2. This is also heading. This is heading 2. After that H3. This is heading 3. Like that up to we can write down 6. Okay, this is heading 4. H4. This is heading 6 actually, because this is S6 tag. I'm writing this is heading 4. After that we can write here H5. This is heading 5. Okay, these are the heading parts in HTML tags. HTML headings are defined with the H1 to H6 tags. Okay, now we can check here and we can run now with the refresh. Okay, you can check here. This is H1, this is H2, this is large heading, this is second heading, this is heading 3, heading 4, heading 5 and heading 6. These are the types in heading. Okay, now next one is the paragraph. Okay, HTML paragraphs are defined with the p tag. Okay, we can write down here the p tag. HTML are defined, we can say that paragraph are defined the p tag. Okay, can say that this is the paragraph and this one is the another paragraph. Okay, this is called a paragraph. Okay, next one is the HTML links. Next one is the HTML links. Now we can add header in h1 tag. Okay, HTML links. Okay, so what is mean by HTML links? HTML links are defined with the a tag. Okay, so we can write down here the example a tag, and this is a link. Okay, now if we have to link on that, so it's goes redirect to another link. Okay, so for that we can add here href. Okay, in href we can add here one url, https://google.com. Okay, this is our links. The link destination is specified with the href attribute. Okay, attributes are used to provide the additional information about HTML elements. So you will learn about attribute in a later chapter. Okay, so we can start with next, that is HTML images. Okay, now HTML images. So what is mean by HTML images? HTML images are defined with the img tag, and the source file src, alternative text, width and height are provided as an attribute. Okay, we can say, we can write down here the output. For image tag we can add here image. In src we have to add here image. In alt, if there is a no image, then alternative text are displayed. And if we have to add here width, I mentioned here 500 pixel, and height 500 pixel. Okay, now I am entering here alternative text, that is this is a text. Okay, if image is not available, then alternative text is displayed in the output. Okay, now we can check the output. I'm going to refresh here. Now you can check here, this is our link. Okay, when I link here, it goes to another page, that is google.com page. Okay, and you can see here HTML images. This is a text. If image is not there, now I am going to back this page. You can see here, if image is not available, then this text is displayed. This is alternative text. Okay, alt means alternative text. Now I am going to download one image for image tag. Okay, now I am going to add here technology image, and we have to add here without any copyrights images. Okay, so if this window is coming, then you have to click on I'm not a robot section. Okay, so I'm going to verify the captcha. Okay, now we can add technology images. I'm going to here click here technology, which is going credit to free pick. Okay, now this is my image, and just you have to open with new image in tab. Okay, so you can just download from here also. Okay, I'm going to save as to my folder. Okay, now this is AVIF file. Now I'm going to download the PNG image. Okay, okay. This is my JPG image, and I'm going to store it to my folder. Okay, now this is BG image. Now I'm going to save that. Okay, you can check here this pg.jpg is there. Okay, if you are not understand this point, then you can just download this image and copy and paste into this folder. Okay, now I'm going to add here bg.jpg image. Okay, now you can see here the output. Okay, if image is available, then alternative text not displayed here. Okay, so you can understand now this is HTML tag in. Okay, so how to view HTML source? Have you ever seen a web page and wonderable here how do you view source code? So if you have to check the source code of this page, then you have to right click on that and just inspect. Okay, if you are going to inspect, then your page code is available in right side. Okay, now you can check here the source code of this page. Okay, now you understand what is HTML elements. Okay, already I mentioned in part 1, an HTML element is defined by a start tag, some content, and an end tag. So HTML elements is everything from the start tag to end tag, and tag name content goes here, and last tag name complete is there. Okay, so we already completed H1P BR tag. Okay, H1 to H6 part already done in part 1. Now we can go with the next part, that is another HTML tags. Okay, so we are going. So first upon HTML is not case sensitive. If you are not going to close HTML tag, then also outputs displayed on page. Okay. Next one, what is HTML attribute? Okay. So in HTML attributes, we can just say all HTML elements can have attributes. Attributes provides additional information about elements, and attributes are always specified in the start tag. So attributes usually come in name slash value pairs, like name is equal to value. Like you can check here, this is an attribute, means href. Is a attribute. Right? A tag defines a hyperlink. The href attribute specify the URL of the page in the link goes to Google page. Okay, so this is attribute. Next one, src. Src is an attribute, the image tag used to embed an image in an HTML page. The src attribute specifies the path to the image to be displayed. Okay, so this is attribute. Alt is an attribute. Okay, there are two ways to specify the URL in the src attribute. Okay, now we can check here, this is a relative URL. Now we are going to specify the URL in two ways. One way is the absolute URL, means we can directly add the URL in source page. Okay, so links to an external image that is hosted in another website. Okay, that is links. Okay, it is called a absolute URL. And relative URLs means links to an image that is hosted within the website, means we can added this image to our folder, means this is relative URL. Okay, here the URL does not include the domain name. If the URL begins without a slash, it will be relative to the current page. Example, src is equal to bg.jpg. Okay, if the URL begins with a slash, it will be relative to the domain, means src is equal to bg.jpg. It is called a relative URL. Okay, next one, width and height also attribute. Okay, the image tag should also contain the width and height attribute, which specify the width and height of the image. Okay, so this is also attribute. And another one is the alter. Alt means alternative attribute. Okay, the required alt attributes for the image tag specifies an alternative text for an image. If the image for reason cannot be displayed, this can be due to slow connection or error in the search attribute, or if the user uses a screen render, that time it's display a alternative text. Okay, so this is the example of image, and you can also Also checked here what is mean by attribute. Okay, next one we can add here style attribute. Okay, now we can add here style attribute. What is mean by style attribute? Okay, we can add here the style attribute. Okay, so I am going to enter here h1 tag. In that I am just writing heading the style attribute. Okay, style style attribute. Okay, so what is mean by style attribute? So style attribute is used to add style to an element such as color, font size and many more. Okay, so we can just add here one example in p tab. Okay, this is style is equal to is double quote color colon रेड सेमीकोलन। आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पे कि ये जो स्टाइल यूज हुआ है वो सीएसएस अप्लाई के लिए हुआ है, उसको लुक एंड फील के लिए हमने यहाँ पे स्टाइल यूज किया है। सो सीएसएस के टाइप से वो हम लोग नेक्स्ट वीडियो में देखते हैं। तो अभी के लिए हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि जो हमारा स्टाइल एट्रीब्यूट है वो हम लोग यहाँ पे ऐड करेंगे। तो स्टाइल एट्रीब्यूट से क्या होगा हमारा कि जो हमारा आउटपुट है वो कलरफुल आ जाएगा, मतलब जो भी ये लिखा हुआ है द पैराग्राफ आर डिफाइन द पी टैग, तो ये टेक्स्ट है हमारा, ये वाला हमारा क्या हो जाएगा रेड में आ जाएगा। तो अभी आप आउटपुट देख सकते हो हमारा। अभी मैं इसको सेव करती हूँ, आपको जो भी आप टाइप करते हो उसको आपको कंपलसरी सेव करना है। तो अभी मैं इसको रिफ्रेश करती हूँ, तो यहाँ पे देख सकते हो स्टाइल से हमारा क्या हुआ है कि जो हमारा वो कलर दिया हुआ था वो रेड में आया है। यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो हमारा ये आउटपुट आ गया है। ठीक है, उसके बाद नेक्स्ट है हमारा लैंग्वेज एट्रीब्यूट। तो लैंग्वेज एट्रीब्यूट कंट्री कोड वाइज रहता है। जैसे कि अगर यहाँ पे देखो हमने HTML डाला है, तो HTML में आप लोग यहाँ पे लैंग्वेज एट्रीब्यूट भी डाल सकते हो। ओके, तो लैंग्वेज एट्रीब्यूट के लिए आपको डालना होगा LANG लैंग्वेज इज इक्वल टू डबल कोट EN. Okay, you should always include the language attribute inside the HTML tag to declare the language of the web page. This is meant to assist search engines and browsers. Okay, this is the example. Okay, this is the language example. Country code can also be added to the language code in the language attribute. So the first two characters define the language of the HTML page and the last two characters define the country. Okay, the following example specifies the English as is the language. Okay, and if you have to add the country code as a United States, then you can just add here en dash US. Okay, so you can add here the language and language code also. Okay, so you can see here the example. Okay, next one is the title. Okay, so you can we can apply here title but in title attribute. Okay, the next one is the title attribute. Okay, I am going to add here the title attribute. Okay, so in title attribute, okay, in title, so in title attribute, okay, we can mention here. Okay, no problem, we can just add here new h1 tag and I'm going to add the title attribute. Okay, so what is meant by title attribute? So the title attribute defines some extra information about an element. The value of the title attributes will be displayed as a tooltip when you mouse over the elements. Okay, let's go. We can just implement the example. Okay, so I am going to implement here example. Now I am entering here p tag. In p tag, this is a paragraph. Okay, because P is a paragraph. Okay, now I'm going to add here the title attribute. Okay, this is the title and I'm going to add here a tooltip. Okay, now I am a tooltip. Okay, now I'm going to save this program and I'm going to run this. Okay, now you can check here, this is my title attribute. Okay, so we added here the title attribute and you can check here, I'm going to just mouse the cursor. Okay, When I going to cursor on this sentence, then check here, this is a tooltip output displayed here. Okay, this is the title attribute. Okay, so we suggest always use lowercase attribute. The HTML standard does not require lowercase attribute names. The title attributes can be written with uppercase or lowercase like title or title. Okay. However, W3C recommends lowercase attribute in HTML and demands lowercase attribute for stricter documents type like XHTML. Okay, so always quote attribute values. The HTML standard does not require quotes around attribute value. Okay, so we can check here. Uh, so we can check here. This is the A tag. Okay, and HREF, and this is a link. Okay, so you can we cannot add here as a capital in a link. Okay, sometimes you have to use quotes. This example will not display the title attribute correctly because it contains a space. Okay, so it is called a title attribute. Okay, so next one we can, now we can just summary of this chapter. Okay, or summary of this part. So first upon we can add all HTML elements can have attribute. Okay, you can check here. All HTML elements can have attributes. The href attribute, a tag specify the URL of the page, links to goes to the next page. Okay, the ss attribute of image specifies the path to image to be displayed. Okay, and the width and height attributes of image provide size information for images. Okay, and the alt attribute of image provides an alternative text for an image. Next one is the style. Okay, we can add here style. The style attribute is used to add styles to an element such as color, font size, and more. Okay, and next one is the language. We can the language attribute of the HTML tags declares the language of the web page, and the title attribute defines some extra information about an element. This is the title attribute. Okay, so this is done in our next video. Okay, so we can just go through our heading tags. Okay, next one. So html headings are titles or subtitles that you want to display on a web page. Okay, this one the this one written in h1 to h6. Okay, we can already seen the output here. I'm going to refresh this page again and display the output. You can check here, this is heading 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. These are the headings. So HTML headings are defined with the H1 to H6 tags. H1 defines the most important headings. Okay, H1 defines the most important headings. Okay, and H6 defines the least important heading. Okay, headings are important. Okay, because search engines use the heading to index the structure and content of your web pages. So users often skim a page by its heading. So it is important to use heading to show the document structure. So H1 heading should be used for main heading, followed by H2 heading, then the less important H3, and so on. Okay, so bigger headings, each HTML headings has a default size. However, you can specify the size for any heading with the style attribute using the CSS font size property. Okay, if you want to add more size in that HTML elements, so you can just add the font size. Okay, so now I am going to given here the example. Okay, so this is h1 heading. Now I am going to add here p tag. Okay, and this is bigger heading example using font size. Okay, so if you want to add more size than h1, then you can just add here the font size. Okay, so each HTML heading has a default size. However, you can specify the size for any heading with the style attribute using the CSS font size property. Okay. Now we are going to add here style tag. Okay, in style tag we can just add here font size. Okay, you can see here font size, and my font size is 60 pixel. Okay, now you can check here the output, it's bigger than h1. Okay, if you want to add more extra font size, okay, yeah, you can want more size, then you can just add using style font size. Okay, this is the font size example in our HTML. Okay, and also we can just mention here HTML paragraphs. P means paragraph. Okay, a paragraph always starts on a new line and is usually a block of text. Means the HTML elements defines a paragraph. A paragraph always start on a new line, and browser automatically add some white spaces before and after a paragraph. Okay, you already checked in the output. Okay, you can check here, already used here p tag, and it's mentioned the new tag. Okay, so you cannot be sure how HTML will be displayed. Large or small screen and resize windows will create different results. Okay, with HTML you cannot change the display by adding extra spaces or extra lines in your HTML code. The browser will automatically remove any extra spaces and line when the web page is displayed. Okay, so you can check here the example. Okay, now I am going to add here t tag, and this paragraph I'm going to enter here contains, okay, a lot of times, a lot of lines, okay, in the source code, okay, and what, okay, just we have to enter here source code, and but the browser ignores it. Okay, now I'm going to add here some extra spaces. Okay, I'm going to here contains, after extra space added, after that this one also. Now you can check here the output. In output, extra space are removed. Okay, you can check here after paragraph already enter the more space. Okay, then also after contains, after in the added more space, then also it's not displayed here. Okay, so you can check here HTML, the browser will automatically remove any extra spaces and lines in the page display. Okay, so what is meant by HTML horizontal rows? Okay, so the HR tag defines a thematic break in an HTML page and is most often displayed as a horizontal row. Okay, now we can add here the horizontal rules, means HR tag. Okay, so HR element is used to separate content in an HTML page. Okay, so the HI tag is a empty tag, which means that has a no end tag. Okay, you can check here. Here is a no end tag. Also in BR tag, well, already mentioned the BR tag. So BR tag also we cannot add the end tag. Okay, because this is a empty tag. Okay, now we are going to add BR also. So this is BR, the elements defines also a line break, and break line also is a empty tag. Okay, because this also have no end tag. Okay, तो अभी आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पे हमने ये चार टैग लिया एंड बी आर टैग लिया, these are the empty tag, and now we are going to run the output. Now you can check here horizontal line. Okay, this is the horizontal line means HR tag. Okay, so you can check here the HR tag. Okay, and also BR tag is an empty tag, which means that it has a no end. Okay, so if you have to add the poem, the poem will display on a single line. Okay, the poem will display on a single line, means p tag in p tag we have to display only in one page. Okay, so solution of this problem. So the html pre tag element, the html pre tag element defined for pre-formatted text. The text inside a pre-element is displayed in a fixed width font, and it preserves both spaces and line breaks. Okay, so we can add here the pre-tag. Okay, now you can check here the pre-tag. In pre-tag, now I'm going to add one sentence. My Bonnie lies over the occasion. Okay, I'm going to full stop of that, and next my Bonnie, okay, lies over the sea. After that also I'm going to add here, oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. Okay, now you can check here the output. Okay, you can check here the output. Okay, it displays like a poem. You can check here. This is my paragraph. Okay, so this is my paragraph and this is a pre-tag. It displays like a poem. Okay, so in this, okay, which we implement here, dp tag defines a paragraph, then we added hr tag. Hr tag defines a thematic change in the content, then we can add the br tag, insert a single line break, and then we can add the pre tag. We added pre tag defines pre-formatted text. Okay, it is used for poem. Okay, next we are going to elaborate the style, HTML style. Already we used here the style tag using the color. The HTML style attribute is used to add styles to any element such as color, font, size, and more. Okay, the HTML style attribute, setting the style of an HTML element can be done with the style attribute. Okay, the style HTML style attribute has the following syntax, like tag name style is equal to property value. Okay, property colon value. This property is a css property, the value is a css value. Okay, so if you add here background color, okay, now I am going to add here the background color using style. So what is the syntax? So the css background color property defines the background color for an html elements. Okay, so style equal background color. Okay, style equal background color colon aqua. Okay, so this is the background color. Okay, now we are going to check the output. Okay, I'm going to refresh page. Now you can check here, output already done. Okay, using style attribute we can give one here the background color. Okay, so set background color for two different elements, then so we can just add here. I'm going to add in pre tag, or just I'm going to add here in h1 tag. So style is equal to background color. Okay, in background color I am going to just add here brown. Okay, now I'm going to refresh my output page, and you can see here my already style attribute given the background color. Now we have to change the style text color. Okay, now we added background color and now we want to change this text color. Okay, then what is the syntax? Okay, we can add here the syntax for css text color. The css color property defines the text color for an html elements. Okay, we can after semicolon हम यहाँ पे ऐड कर सकते हैं कोलन कोलन वाइट, बिकॉज हमारा जो बैकग्राउंड कलर है ज़्यादा डार्क है, तो हम लोग टेक्स्ट कलर है तो वाइट डिस्प्ले करेंगे. अभी मैं यहाँ पे रिफ्रेश करती हूँ तो आप देख सकते हो ये हमारा जो कलर है बैकग्राउंड कलर एंड टेक्स्ट कलर दोनों भी आ चुका है. अभी हम लोग क्या करते हैं, नेक्स्ट हमारा क्या करना है कि हमें स्टाइल एट्रीब्यूट का जो टेक्स्ट लिखा हुआ है उसका हमें फंड फैमिली चेंज करना है. यहाँ फंड फैमिली चेंज करना है तो कैसे कर सकते हैं. Okay, now what is mean by funds? The css fund family property defines the fund to be used for an HTML elements. Okay, so I'm going to add here font family. Okay, now I'm going to add a font family. Already fonts are lots of fonts are coming. Now I'm going to add here this one. Okay, so this is my font family. Okay, so font family property defines the font can be used for an HTML element. Okay, next one is the text size. Okay, now I'm going to add here the text size. So you have to add after semicolon. So the CSS font size property defines the text size for an HTML element. Okay, already we given in the below. Okay, but we can add more also. Here I am adding font size. Okay, font size is 60 70 pixel. Okay, so this is my p tag font size is 70%. Now I'm going to refresh this and you can check here. This is the font size apply here. Okay, now I'm going to decrease the size because it's too much size is there. Okay, now we can add next one is the text alignment. Okay, most important text alignments. Okay, now I'm going to add here the text alignment. Okay, what is meant by text alignment? The CSS text align property defines the horizontal text line for an HTML elements. Okay, so I'm going to add here text align. So text align property gives us three uh, property, mainly left, center and right. Okay, I'm going to add here the center. Okay, means our text will displayed in the center section. Okay, now we can check here our font displayed in the center. Okay, so this is the text align we already done. Okay, now which thing we are done in this video? So we can use here the use the style attribute for styling HTMLs elements, use background color for background color, use color for text color, use font family for text fonts, then next font sizes for text sizes, then use the text align for text alignment. Okay, सो हम लोग अभी नेक्स्ट वीडियो में जो भी नेक्स्ट का सेशन है वो हम लोग देखने वाले हैं। तो अभी के लिए ये वाला जो पार्ट है हम लोग एंड करते हैं और नेक्स्ट हम लोग जो भी हमारा एचटीएमएल टेक्स्ट फॉर्मेटिंग है वो हम लोग स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं। ओके, थैंक यू एवरीवन।